Xin chào tất cả các bạn ha. Trong video ngày hôm nay mình chia sẻ các bạn về những cái thông tin liên quan tới nước Úc. Đầu tiên thì mình muốn chia sẻ các bạn về một cái thông tin về một người đàn ông 55 tuổi di chuyển từ Melbourne đi tới Sydney trên một chiếc xe tải đông lạnh. Ông ta chở gà đông lạnh. Trong đó thì ông ta có cất giấu một lượng heroin và cảnh sát đã phát hiện ra điều này, từ đó truy bắt người đàn ông này.
Police weren't fooled by the disguise of 120 grams of cocaine concealed as frozen chickens discovered stashed in a van on its way to Sydney. It's alleged a former high-profile lawyer tried to traffic the haul from Melbourne. The 55-year-old Queensland man briefly faced court today, facing life in prison.
Cuộc sống thì đôi khi chúng ta không biết trước được bất kỳ những cái điều gì nó sẽ xảy ra đến với mình. Thí dụ như các bạn dẫn con đi tới một cái công viên, rồi các bạn cầm điện thoại trò chuyện với lại người thân hay bạn bè. Vô tình thì các bạn sẽ không để ý tới những đứa con của mình. Từ đó thì các bạn cứ đinh ninh là nó đang chơi một cái nhóm bạn ngay trước mặt của mình. Nhưng mà đôi khi cái sự việc nó sẽ xảy ra mà rất là nhanh lẹ, đôi khi các bạn sẽ không kịp trở tay. Tin thứ hai thì liên quan đến một cậu bé 10 tuổi đã bị bắt cóc. Và sự việc xảy ra như thế nào? Mời các bạn xem đoạn video.
A quiet Logan Street about to explode into a violent showdown between desperate parents and their child's alleged abductors. Captive in the car, a 10-year-old boy. His father tries to force open the door to free him.
There was a lot of yelling. Some guys got out of one silver car and they had machetes.
But after an onslaught of punches and kicks, he's left unconscious on the ground. As his partner moves to help, she is bundled over and beaten too. This was the end to a vigilante manhunt for a trio who allegedly snatched the child from a Woodridge skate park on Friday after claims he threw a rock at their car.
Really scary for a child to be involved in that type of incident, as you would appreciate. Also very scary for parents involved.
Police say for more than half an hour, the Jeep drove the boy around the suburbs. His parents tracked down the offenders and the 10-year-old was freed in the chaos of the altercation before making one last request. After speeding away, the car was soon spotted by police. Moments later, and less than 100 metres down the road, the Jeep was intercepted by police. Passing drivers watched in shock as the alleged kidnappers were arrested.
Maybe around 6-8 police.
Two men and a woman have since been charged after an alarming escalation in a skate park squabble. And a 27-year-old man has appeared before the Brisbane Arrest Court where his bail was denied. The magistrate sided with the arguments of the prosecution that man posed an unacceptable risk to the community. As for his two co-accused, a 22-year-old Woodridge man and a 29-year-old Kingston woman, they are due to appear in the Beenleigh Court next month and have been granted police bail. As for that 10-year-old boy, I'm told by police he will be supported by the Child Protection Unit.
Thông tin thứ ba mình muốn chia sẻ các bạn, đó chính là hơn 130 cá voi đã bị mắc cạn trên bờ biển của Úc.
More than 130 pilot whales have been rescued after a mass stranding event off the West Australian coast. The animals started swimming into Toby Inlet in Busselton yesterday morning before stranding themselves on the shore. Wildlife experts and volunteers spent hours trying to rescue the whales, but sadly 30 could not be saved. Authorities also sent out boats to hold back more whales in deeper water. For more, we're joined by wildlife scientist Dr. Vanessa Perotta. Good morning to you. Really, we don't understand why they do this. Are we getting any closer?
No, we don't. But I would say that yesterday's example is it's a wonderful result. And I know there's loss of life, but there were a lot of individuals that stranded. And the community authorities, we had some of Australia's best whale experts there on the scene doing what they could to help a lot of these individuals. And they did do just that. Now, in reference to your question, why do they do this? Pilot whales are an animal that are very social. They like to stick together with each other, and perhaps there's a number of different factors that has happened here, and every single stranding is different, and we learn from every stranding, but we still don't know why they do it.
So your scientific friends went down there, volunteers went down there. 130 of the whales apparently have been saved. That's a good thing, isn't it? Getting in and behind it.
That is an amazing outcome. We can't forget that last year there was over 90 that passed, a big stranding as well. But for any to go back out to sea, that's a positive. We need to think of the positives here. And in the loss of those individuals, around 30 or so, those animals will contribute to science, scientific knowledge. But what would be really interesting here, and what last year's stranding provided on the West Coast, was insight to pre-whale stranding behaviour. What were these animals doing before they came ashore? Often when an animal comes ashore, the clock of survival starts ticking and we don't know what has happened beforehand.
So we need to figure out that patterning. Shark activity. Now, we just spoke off air very quickly and you said, actually, it's okay. It's a good thing that sharks are around. Why?
We need sharks in the marine environment. They play important ecological roles. Now, for us as humans, our safety is #1 priority. And so, obviously, there will be some awareness to making sure that the animals that have passed on the beach are now removed and that the biological juices from these animals don't hang out, or at least they'll probably attract sharks, which is a good positive sign of a healthy ecosystem. So we need sharks to do these kind of things. But for human safety, it is probably best advised that people stay away from those waters at this time.
At the moment, the shark's doing the clean up. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Video này mình cũng chia sẻ các bạn về những cái thông tin được cập nhật trên đài số 7. Đó là những cái thông tin mới nhất liên quan tới những cái tin tức của Úc. Cái chủ đề hôm nay các bạn cảm thấy nó hữu ích và các bạn cần biết thêm những cái thông tin về nước Úc, thì các bạn có thể chia sẻ ý kiến của mình qua những câu comment trong video. Thì từ đó mình có thể là tổng hợp lại xem những video, xin lỗi các bạn, tổng hợp lại xem các câu comment của các bạn góp ý với mình. Mình sẽ có những video tiếp theo về những cái tin tức liên quan tới nước Úc. Không phải chỉ bang của mình mà hầu như là tất cả các bang, nếu có những cái thông tin nào hot hay thì mình sẽ chia sẻ các bạn trong những video tiếp theo. Xin chân thành cảm ơn tất cả các bạn và hẹn gặp lại trong video tới.
Announcing savings for every Queensland household in a pre-election budget bonanza.
Most households won't pay an electricity bill in the third quarter of this year.
A $1,000 payment will be made to electricity bills for every household from the 1st of July. Seniors, pensioners and concession card holders will continue to receive an existing rebate of $372, bringing the total discount for vulnerable households to $1,372.
It doesn't matter where you live or who you are or what your job is, everyone's feeling cost of living pressures. This is a responsible thing for a government to do.
The state government says the savings will be delivered off the back of revenue from coal royalties. Households which use less than $1,000 worth of energy will carry over the credit.
I commend the bill to the House.
The government rushing to introduce special legislation to ensure the rebates are paid in time for the new financial year.
Will the Premier admit power rebates need to be given to hard-working Queenslanders because under Labor, Queensland has the highest power costs in the nation?
We are acting to lower power prices.
Stephen Miles says the $2.5 billion package will help households make ends meet and fight inflation. But this is also a pre-election pitch as Labor fights to stay in power after recent bad polls.
Today, this government delivers the biggest energy rebates in the history of the Commonwealth.
The Premier and Labor will do and say anything to hang on to power.
Supercharging rebates to ease power pain.